Okay. Can you hear me on the last rows? I hope. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Alon Rotem. I'm a senior developer on the Sitefinity team. Some of you guys know me because I'm also teaching in the academy, the C# course, the English lessons, unfortunately, to all of you. And that's why we're going to have this quick session in English. The purpose of this, sorry?
Take one? To take, because we can't hear well.
All right.
Ще добавим един микрофон.
Okay.
It should be working.
Hear me now? Maybe not. Oh, that's better.
Put it like this. Okay. Maybe in the pocket.
New gadget. Okay, so the purpose of, no, I don't have to shout so much. So the purpose of this this session, my session, is just to talk a little bit about the work of the developer and some things that people don't know, that what is actually included in our work and what we're doing. And I'm going to show a little bit about our work environment and what it looks like and some of the things that we do during the day. For the record, I've been in Telerik for two and something years now, in the Sitefinity team from the beginning, which is the biggest team in the company currently and growing. So maybe I'll meet some of you there. So the first thing that comes to mind is this question: what do you really do all day? I mean, you have the product, you have already built it, customers are buying it, and what is there so much more to do? So obviously these activities are part of my day, and we're going to look at a little other ones as well. So what else except Facebooking? And didn't have any place for a YouTube window also, but of course it takes a great deal of time during the day. On a more serious note, many times we have to get updated with technology, and we read blogs sometimes, and we get follow-up on new things and new trends, and that's part of the deal of being a geek and a developer in particular. So the first thing we usually do when we start, we have meetings. Being a developer, I'm not very keen of meetings, and I'm not a very big fan of meetings at all. But in many companies and also in Telerik, there are all kinds of product and project management methodologies, and one of them, which is becoming very widespread and very common in many companies, at least in all the companies that I've been working before Telerik as well, is the Agile or Scrum methodology. And that means that there is a very tight follow-up on everything that the developer does. And the whole process of the project and how it progresses is being controlled by tight, what we call scrums and sprints. That means that every day we are following up on what we're doing, and we are cutting our tasks into little pieces which are being followed up, let's say, per week or per number of weeks. So every day we follow up in what we call a stand-up meeting. No, not we call, that's the term. That means everybody has to stand up. And this is a classic Scrum meeting with notes, and where you see all the tasks in front of you, and you can see the progress. Some tasks are already finished. Some of them have to be tested. Some of them have some problems. They have to be fixed. So we usually don't do that, but we do follow up, and we do have to stand up, and we do have to declare every day about our work. Impediments is also a term which is taken from this field, where we have to follow up if anybody has some problems, and so that everybody has to collaborate and discuss with the other team members on what's going on, what's he working on yesterday and today, and that's an important part of the day also. So it's not just writing code, it's also following up on what you're doing. The second thing is that we're helping the other teams. Probably Svetlin mentioned that when talking about structure of the company. But this is unlike other companies that I've worked for, by the way. But here the teams are very, since the project, the different products and projects that we're working on are very different from each other. Our teams are self-contained, just as if they were little companies in themselves. So Sitefinity team has the developers, has a QA, has marketing, has sales, and it has technical support. And they're all under the same umbrella of Sitefinity. And the other teams work the same way. In many companies, it's divided by QA section, and then you have the IT group, the developers group, and you have the support group. So we're working very tightly with our QA and our support. And since many of our products are products for developers, these people have to be quite deep into code themselves, never mind what they're doing. If you have to support a project like Sitefinity, where people are developing plugins, add-ons, modules, you have to know how to dive into the code. And many times it's okay and it's relatively easy, and many times customers' questions are not, so don't require such a deep digging into the product. But many times it does require some harder digging, and sometimes you have to consult the developer who wrote the feature, who's responsible for that, because they can tell you, okay, now we have a problem here or there. And many times we are called to help the support team or the QA team. We're working tightly with those people, and that's also part of the work. The second part is also related to support. We are actually, when it comes to a point where the customer, for example, has a serious problem and he's sending a support ticket, in many times it will find its way to the developers. And the developers have to check the problem, analyze it, try to maybe reproduce it, and then answer the ticket themselves. So part of my work also, apart from helping the other team members, is really going to the support system, and sometimes I'll have tickets assigned to me and I have to reply to them myself. So that's part of the process as well. Fixing bugs, the fun part. Yeah, unfortunately, it usually looks more like this than like this. And yeah, so some of the time we're writing new features and we are planning new modules and we're expanding our product to version 5, 6, 7, XP, Vista, or whatever we call it. And many times we have to revert back and see what we have broken and confront the problems that we've introduced and fix them. So fixing bugs and the whole process of tracking bugs in the system, fixing them, reporting them, analyzing them, and then sending them back to the QA to be verified is something which is a great part of any developer's work, and it's also good to know that it's there. Now when we come to new things that we have to do, it almost always would start with some kind of planning and design, so that especially in big products like this where you have so many parts working together and you have to plug in something new, you have to really plan what you're doing, and you have to consult the other people, the team leaders mostly, the architecture scrum, we're calling them scrums, but these are actually our sub-teams. So any code will start first with some kind of planning, and many times it will start with writing some kind of documentation up front, so that we'll know what we're going to do, who's going to work on it, how we're going to cut it down to sub-features, and it can come to things like this, to UML schemes and diagrams, to really plan the feature in detail. And then we come to coding, which is of course, the major part of every developer's work. Yeah, the fun part. And yeah, we're going to look a little bit on the work environment to see what it looks like from the inside. But yeah, both pictures are valid in this case. Once you have some coding done and you have a new feature which is passed some QA and everybody's happy with it, there comes the fun part number 2. writing documentation. Part of the documentation is putting it into your code. Then comes this sentence. And part of it is actually writing real documents about what the project, what the new feature is, what it's supposed to do, how to use it, how to utilize it, problems and known issues with it that we know at that present time. So yeah, we are also writing documentation. There are also other parts to that. We're running it, for example, in Sitefinity, we're running an internal set of blogs, which we are writing down everything that we're doing, and so that we can get updated, because there are so many sub-teams working on this project, and we can get updated by some parts of it, and because there's no one person who can know everything which is going on in this project. It's so big, and you're usually working on your own parts, and you can document them, but then when you have to address something else, you will need this documentation, and that's an important part, and this can also be time-consuming and a lot of fun for whoever likes to write. Personally, I'm also taking some of my time teaching, and I'm doing it just because it's a lot of fun for me, and I hope to keep going with it. I'm not 100% sure, but for now I'm already doing the second course of the C# in the Academy, and I'm enjoying it very much. Not everybody's doing it, but some people in Telerik, for example, are taking from their time to do it, and I think it's great, for me at least. Another part, well, not much time left for the day for all this Facebooking. But many times we are participating in other kinds of meetings, sometimes internally and sometimes externally, and sometimes we have webinars which take place online. And people, for example, we have a set of, we have a department of what we call evangelists who are promoting our projects worldwide. And many times they are creating their own tutorials and their own guides. And the whole process of internally and externally sharing the knowledge is sometimes done through what's called webinars, which is just like an online meeting with some host that presents the new feature and how it's used, and that's also part of the deal. And many times the developers or QA or support people also take part in it as hosts, as tutors. Yeah, that's about it for the major parts of the work, of the developer's work. What I'm going to do now is just connect for a minute to my workstation. You know this, when a bus stops, it's a bus station, and then there's a workstation.
Work stops, it's a workstation.
Yeah. Okay. Waiting is also part of the day. Many times we are sitting in front of progress bars and wait. Okay. So this, for example, disregard the low resolution, is our work environment. This is Visual Studio, assisted with a source control system called TFS. Source control means that there is some kind of central database where all the code that everybody is working on is stored. So you can see here, for example, the whole Sitefinity branch. So we can see, if we look, for example, at the code base of Sitefinity, you'll see all the subfolders of this project, and all the projects inside, and all the source code is inside. And once you open the solution file, you'll get this solution with 32 projects inside it, and subfolders, and everything is nicely done. But many times we're working on something, and okay, we've made it to some kind of thing that we are defining as version number 4, and now we have to start working on version number 4.1. And then calls a client, and he has a problem, and then we have to make a patch and clean, and we have to make a new version 4.0 hotfix 1, and all kinds of such tricks. So we are branching our code. So this system helps us to branch our code into different versions, so we can freeze our work in different states. And then if somebody has some kind of problem, we can revert back to the older version of the code and produce a fixed one. Another thing that this does is tracking who is working on what. So for example, if I look at some files in our solution, let's look at, for example, the forms. I can see, can you see anything? So I can see the file's history, and I can see who's been working on it and what has been done in the past and when it's been done. So I can actually see, for example, this file to this person did this something, and then this person did something, and I can track the changes, and I can see what exactly has been changed. So the whole the source control system helps us track down what we're doing, split it into different versions, follow up on all the changes. We can define a certain date or a certain what's called change set here as a version that we are closing, and then we can continue working on the next. And of course, if we have other product or other projects, other documentations, for example, the Sitefinity SDK project is here also. Everything is managed here, including the users who use this code, and that's a big part of our work, is to handle this. And some of the things that I didn't mention that we're doing are on the everyday base of working with code, is, for example, branching these into new branches, or merging them into merging branches into one into another. For example, our different sub-teams are working separately, and then we're merging our code together to one big ball of fire. So this is what the solution looks like. This is what the TFS source control looks like. Another thing which is integrated here is our bug tracking system. So we'll wait. Come on. Working. Still working. Okay. Oh, here it is. So here, for example, I can see bugs which are assigned to me. And this thing is working in coordination with the QA people and sometimes with the support people as well. So we can follow up any problem that there is in the project, and that's part of the tight work of any developer. So this system keeps track of, is actually fueled mostly by the QA people when they're finding some problem. But of course, if a developer finds a problem, it will also be logged here, so that everything can be kept on track. And once something is fixed, we are putting our notes in it. We can also attach it to our fix in the system, and then we're setting its status as being ready for being tested again. The QA checks it again, and then we are eliminating the problem, saying that it's been fixed and closed, and everybody's happy again. So that's the internal system built into Visual Studio. Of course, we're using other tools here which are integrated, but we won't go much into those. Another thing we can see here, another tool which is built by Sitefinity called TeamPulse, which we're also keeping track on our projects through it. If I remember my credentials, that would be nice. Or maybe not. Last try. No, okay. You have to believe me that this system works. I don't know how I got logged out of it. Okay, but this system keeps track on the tasks that we are following on. That might explain the reason that I'm logged out of it. Once we have tasks pending, we can track them here, just like we're doing with the bugs. Just that just that our team leaders can keep track on what's going on, what's been finished, and by whom.
Alon?
Yep.
Check with the Windows credentials.
Witchcraft. So I think we can see it. Oh. Yeah, so here is our current tasks that can be followed. It's a little bit like the bug screen, only that we are keeping track on our current tasks, and we can see what's pending to be done, and also if we have some ideas for some things that we need to do in future versions, this is the system that we'll use to track them. The last thing I'm going to show here is the architecture blogs. Actually, we don't need the back side of it. So this is an internal blog system that we're running where we're sharing our knowledge, writing down all kinds of specifications, requirements, documentations on new features. Here's, for example, a blog post about a feature that we've lately released and explaining what it's for and how it's working. So that's part of the system. And the last thing I wanted to point out is that on my day, at least as a developer, another part of my day is to make things done faster. And I always tell not to underestimate the laziness of a developer, in the sense that a developer will always try to find the easiest way to repeat a task. So many times we're writing scripts, at least me, and my teammates are sometimes surprised by that. But I write a lot of all kinds of scripting all around my environment in order to make my work more fluent and more easy. So for example, if I'm working on a certain branch and then I have to revert to work on some other branch of the system, I have a script for that will run and do all the work for me. Or if I have to put out a new daily report, I have a script for that too, and it's also running every day for me at 6 o'clock so that I don't forget. So I'm a kind of person who would utilize the computer to the end. I mean, and I think it's also a part of the developer's state of mind, as always being in track for searching for new things, for trying to make the work a little more efficient, a little more easy, at least when we're doing some things which are repeating themselves. And we're working with computers, so why not use that? That's about it, I think. I haven't missed something else. If anyone has questions about any kind of questions. Yeah.
So what about the deadlines? How do you deal with them? I mean, with all this side work, with the board,
we take this into account, and deadlines are of course very important. Everybody knows that, and yeah, we take this into account. I mean, we take an estimate of the time that we are planning something, and part of working with the methodology of Scrum is cutting your work into little pieces so that you will be able to keep better track of what's going on. And you can know pretty much if some things are not going to be met, you know that, and then you have to decide what you're going to do with that. I mean, in some cases, we have a situation where we're saying, okay, this thing, we cannot make it on time because we have unperceived problems, or we didn't have enough manpower because 3 people were sick and 2 people got married, and one is working with the QA all the time because there's another problem. So many times deadlines are not met to the fullest, but this is in collaboration with the rest of the team, with the team leader, and there's always a solution for that. Either we're saying, okay, this feature, we're going to have to cut some of its features, and yeah, many times we do meet the deadlines, but there are always unpredictable problems, and there are many ways to handle them. Yes?
What about further education?
What about it?
Do you take time off work to go to, let's say, conference, a seminar, and technology comes out?
Yeah, whenever I can. It's actually Telerik is also running its own conferences sometimes, like the DevReach that took a few days, and then I've attended it. These are things that whenever you can, of course, it's a great bonus if you can do it and if you can squeeze it in your time. And it's always a part of work. I mean, I've always been in one way or another in a conference here and there, but it's not something which is permanent. But yeah, I mean, there are people in this company who are permanently out there and going into conferences and this and that. But many times the work starts and ends in front of the screen or in the cafeteria. And yeah, whenever there's a chance for further education, for courses, for conferences, it's a great bonus if it can be achieved. And of course, it has to be coordinated as well with your team lead because it takes unplanned time too. Yeah.
I have a question about Windows certificates.
Okay.
Telerik supports it. I mean, does Telerik give the opportunity for you to take the developer certificate like for developer?
Oh, you mean, yeah, Telerik promotes the idea of workers to be certified. I thought you were talking about authentication certificates. So no. So yeah, Telerik does grant I think a certain bonus if you have a certificate, and they do support that. There's a library with all the needed books for all the certifications. So anyone who's interested in that can take any of the courses, and I don't know, I don't remember if there's some discount on those courses, but there is some bonus once you get certified. So yeah, and in our corporate directory where all the workers are listed, whoever has a certificate also has a small badge saying what they're certified for. So that's cool. Again, there's a whole debate about the certificates, whether they are really needed and whether they're really efficient. But many people do that. Many people go to study to get certified, and I think it's cool. And yeah, not much to say about that.
I really know that you love your job. What do you hate about it?
What do I hate about? The work.
You are enjoying it.
I love what I do. I've been a developer since 1998, I think, and I love what I do. I don't like it when people interrupt when I'm Facebooking. But I can't tell you that I can't tell you much about what I don't like. What I don't like most in the world of development is meetings, and that's part of the reasons that I've been staying in the developer side most of the time and not going to, for example, to a team lead side. Some people want to be managers, and that's fun because they want to sit all day in meetings and talk about graphs and plans and deadlines. I just like the code. So for me, let's say meetings are the least fun part of the job when we're talking about the big scope meetings. And if I can avoid them, I would. Apart from that, I am passionate about my work, and I think it's also an important part of every IT person. So yeah, it's not just a matter of money, although many people like money. And it's I don't have many bad things, especially in a company like Telerik, where it's a motivated company. The people are really great, as you can see. And yeah, not just me, other people are great too. More, yeah.
Just going in the same direction. Describe something like how to put it, a bad day in the office. I mean, in terms work terms, I mean, if something bad happens or things don't go the way they're supposed to be in the development, how are you handling it, or how is it handled company-wise?
Well, that's another good part of let's say staying less on the administrative side and more on the operational, functional programming side. Bad day can have many flavors. Is there a nuclear reactor close to here? No, I mean a bad day can be that okay. Many times I can describe that situations like. Okay, today is our deadline, and we have to finish our coding until a certain time, and then we have to merge our branches, and then things start falling apart because somebody broke it and it's not building anymore, and then we have problems, and then somebody has to stay late, and most of the times it will be most of the people, and when you have unpredictable problems at the last minute, that's usually not a good point, not a good thing. And handling it is many times an administrative decision, whether it's possible to resolve the issue in real time, or we have a serious condition where we have to say, okay, we'll have to deal with this tomorrow, and probably we'll have to delay the deadlines. I mean, if Microsoft can do it, we can do it. And yeah, that's usually the part. I mean, my personal record, not here but in some other company, was coming to work at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I left the office at 5 o'clock the next morning. It happened really, and it can happen when you have a really stressful time on some things that are falling apart in the wrong time, at the wrong place. And since you are the developer, you have to sit and fix them. And do it as fast as possible and as good as possible. Yeah.
Did I saw thousands of mistakes and errors in your Saturday?
Sorry?
I think I saw in Visual Studio when I turned on your workstation. I saw thousands of errors.
You did? They're not mine. These? You mean these bugs? Oh, JustCode. No, that's a different team. We don't deal with that. JustCode is another product of Sitefinity. Of Telerik. And it's an integrated plugin for Visual Studio that helps us a lot. For example, when we need to go to a certain file, we can just type initials of the file, and we can get to it, and we can see contents very easily. Or if I want to go to a certain member of this class, I can very easily find whatever I need. So JustCode found some analytics errors in our code. These are not build errors, just so that you'll be rest assured. We don't have such errors. But we can see that JustCode is giving errors, all which are equivalent to some build warnings, let's say. But we are not really taking those into account. And Did we crash? No. Okay. But these are not build errors. Did we crash? Looks like it. Okay. Any more?
Предлагам да направим една почивка 10 минутки, защото имаме още доста работа, имаме още 2 сесии. Гледам, че интересът е голям. Така че може и сега между часите пак да хваните да напитате някакви неща. Така че след 10 минути продължаваме. Did you make a recording? It would be private, but